Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and today I'm doing a video that was started by Quest for Metal. He asked the other metal channels to do a video about your favorite year in metal. So I actually found this channel through Jamie Horsley, and I know Metal Trenches and Pair of Jeans Reviews did a video on this topic. So for those of you who do not know any of those channels, you can check them out. They're more into like the extreme side of metal. So if you're a fan of like that type of music, I would definitely recommend those channels. I'd also like to add that Pair of Jeans Reviews has a channel style that's probably a little closer to my channel as far as the bands he talks about. He does a lot of like classic metal and grunge. So if you're a fan of like my channel, definitely check him out. So before I begin, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. I do videos of this nature, every day on a daily basis. I upload a video pretty much every morning. Now, I'd first like to announce the year that I chose as my favorite year. So, drum roll. I chose 1989. Now, why would I choose this year? I mean, there are so many great years in the early 80s, 82, 83, 84. No, I wanted to do this video from a different perspective. I chose a year I was actually like listening to metal, and I was like going out and buying CDs. And for that reason, I chose 1989. In 1989, it was a very important year for me. It was the year I turned 18 and I went off to college. I looked up all of the albums that came out that year, and there were a lot. So in today's video, I'm just going to focus on albums that I actually owned physical copies of back in 1989. Now, I remember back then I used to go to the record store about once a week to buy CDs. I went to Tower Records. That was a store that no longer exists, but I'm pretty sure most of you remember it. And on this video, I'm only going to talk about like 5 albums, and I'll probably make this a series, so I'll do a part 2 sometime in the near future. So my first album is Metal Church, Blessing in Disguise. So this was the first album by the band Metal Church I ever bought. I think it was from watching the music video for the song Badlands on MTV's Headbangers Ball. Now this is an awesome album. It's heavy. I'd say it's a mixture of like classic metal and thrash metal. The opening song, Fake Healer, it's a great classic metal song, and it was later like re-recorded with Todd LaTour on vocals. Rest in Pieces, the second song, it's an awesome track just because it's the song that you need to listen to with headphones, because you hear like the drums like swirling back and forth in your head, because when they did the mix, they kept like moving back and forth between the left and right channels. I think you really need to like listen to the song to know what I'm talking about. So that is Metal Church, Blessing in Disguise, an awesome album. So next is Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue. So this is a band I had already known about, and I was really anticipating this album when it came out. I remember hearing the opening track, that was the title track. I think it was on Headbangers Ball again, and I remember how great it sounded. The album has a sound that's more like a hair metal sound, I would say. I listened to the album yesterday, and I noticed it does have a lot of influences from like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction album. Most people probably know the song Kickstart My Heart. It was used in like many movies and video games over the years. And it was rumored that this song was inspired by a heroin overdose from Nikki Sixx, who had to be revived with an adrenaline shot. Next. So next I have a Testament with Practice What You Preach. This was probably one of the heaviest albums I was listening to that year. I think the reason I bought this album was for the song The Ballad. Back then I really liked power ballads that were mostly done by hair metal bands. But this was the first time, or at least for me, that a thrash band did a ballad. The lyrics of the song are very memorable, and I could probably recite them off the top of my head to this day. I really like the lyrical content of this album. They dealt with a lot of social topics, and it was something I found interesting back in the day. Next. Next is Tesla with the Great Radio Controversy. So this is probably not technically a metal band. Back then they were categorized as hair metal. The Lair of the Alchemist channel did a video on this topic, so I recommend that you watch his video, later after this. This band is very important to me, and because it is the first band, or one of the first bands I ever saw live. Back in 1989, they toured with White Lion and Badlands, and I saw this concert at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie back when I was in college. One of my favorite songs was Love Song. This was an acoustic power ballad and still a great song. I no longer have this album on CD, and I tried to listen to it yesterday, but I couldn't because it's not available on any of the streaming sites. So this is probably a CD that I will be adding to my collection again one day. And finally, the last one I'm going to talk about is Wasp, the Headless Children. So Wasp was a band that caught my attention early on. They had a lot of theatrics. I had already owned The Last Command and Inside the Electric Circus, but on this album they changed their tone a lot. It was darker and the lyrics dealt with social topics. I think it was because they were being pressured by the PMRC because of their offensive lyrical content of the previous albums. I listened to this album yesterday and I noticed it has a big classic rock influence. They do a cover of The Who's The Real Me, and if you have the reissue, they have a cover of Jethro Tull's Locomotive Breath. It also has the ballad Forever Free. Now remember, I was a really big fan of ballads back then, and this song was kind of like a tribute to Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. There are some other songs. I remember there was some keyboards on it that reminded me of Deep Purple on a few of the songs. So this was a really good album. And I'm going to stop here because I can just go on forever talking about 1989 albums. There's still a lot of albums that I purchased back in 1989, and there are also a lot of albums that I discovered later with the 1989 release date. So you should be expecting a lot more videos on this topic from me. That is it. And comment below. Let me know some of your favorite from the year 1989, or if you like, let me know what is your favorite year in metal. For those of you who are video creators, I think this would be a good idea. It could be my favorite year in music, my favorite year in rock. So if anyone would like to continue this, go ahead. We want to watch your videos. So that is it. As always, I will link my other videos in the video description, or not the video description, like right here. And that's it. I will see you in the next one.